Y'all, Big Mac tacos? Come on. Welcome to Highfalutin Low Carb, the almost weekly web series where we find and test the best low carb recipes this crazy internet has to offer. Today, we're tackling that viral TikTok sensation, Big Mac tacos. What? Stay tuned. All right, guys, you heard me right, Big Mac tacos. I guess in the world of TikTok, last year sometime, this went around with tacos that have Big Mac ingredients to replicate the taste of the McDonald's Big Mac. And as things happen in the keto and low carb world, somebody has taken that and made a low carb, some might say dirty keto version of this. And I believe that person, the first that I can find, is by an account, a TikTok account, page, I don't know what you call it, person called Sarah Moorhead at The Creative Keto. So I'm going to give her credit, and I'll link her TikTok account down below, as well as her Instagram account, because she's got some very cool things. So if you, I don't do a lot of TikToking, but if you do, check her out there or on Instagram. So we're going to start on this now, but before we do, we need to create the Big Mac sauce, right? And you know me, I don't normally give exact ingredients. I want you to go to the page of the creator that created the recipes, right? They're the one that did the hard work. I am going to give you the ingredients on this because I changed some of it. So what we're going to start with the Big Mac sauce is a little bit of mayo, which is a half a cup of mayo, and 1 teaspoon of yellow mustard. That's just French's yellow mustard. And this is the change that I made. She called for some ketchup. She said you could even use sugar-free ketchup to give it that pink color. Well, of the hundreds and hundreds of comments on her TikTok account for this video, 99.9% of them were like, there is no ketchup in Big Mac sauce. Don't you know that? They just attacked her. Apparently, in the Big Mac world, in the world of copycat recipes, the pink in Big Mac sauce comes from paprika. So I'm going to make that change, and in doing so, we've also eliminated the need for a sugar-free ketchup with any of the nasty ingredients that might go along with that. So in place of the ketchup, we're using a half teaspoon. I'm going to start with a half teaspoon. If we need more, I'll add it, of paprika, a half teaspoon of onion powder, and a 1/4 teaspoon each of garlic powder and just salt. So that's going to go in here. To this, we're going to add in a half teaspoon of white vinegar. Not much, but just enough probably to give it a little whang. And then also to this, we're going to add in 2 tablespoons of sweet pickle relish. And if you look hard enough, you can find sugar-free sweet pickle relish. I know that the brand Mount Olive here in the United States sells sweet pickle relish that's sugar-free. If you can't find that, and the sugar in a little bit of 2 tablespoons, which can be considerable in that, then you can use dill pickle relish. So just whichever you prefer. The dill pickle relish won't have any sugar in it, or shouldn't have any sugar in it. If you can't find the sugar-free, I will let you know that, unfortunately for many of us, me especially, the sugar-free Mount Olive brand of pickle relish is sweetened with Splenda, and I try to avoid that as often as I can, just because I have an asthmatic response to it that I don't enjoy. So here I'm using dill pickle relish, but I'll let you decide. So if you go with the dill pickle relish and the paprika instead of ketchup, then you really have no carbs in this sauce at all. And I don't think it's pink enough for me, so I'm going to add in a little more paprika. I'm just using Spanish paprika, and I started with a half teaspoon. This is a 1/4 teaspoon. Let's see where that takes us. That may be enough. It doesn't have to be totally pink, and some of this as it sits is going to darken up a little bit. So actually, yep, I'm going to add in the other 1/4 teaspoon. So in our final recipe, it's 1 teaspoon, full teaspoon of paprika, half teaspoon of onion powder, 1/4 teaspoon each of garlic powder, and salt. So just mix this together, and we're going to set this to the side and let it sort of join forces and create this delicious sauce. Now, let's talk about the beef. She didn't mention this. She didn't say anything about this, and no one else has either. But based on the way I've seen her cook this, I think it's going to work out best that we use a blend of 90-10 ground beef, 10% fat and 90% lean, because we're going to do this on top of our tortillas. And if you've cooked 80-20 or 85-15 or more fat, you know that it's going to leave a huge puddle of grease. And when she's cooking it, there is no grease in the pan left. What little bit is left is soaked into the tortilla. So I think that for everybody's sake, we're going to use the 90-10. For tortillas, she specifically uses the La Banderita carb counter, 0 net carbs, wheat flour tortillas. So this is a flour tortilla, 14 total carbs. You got 13 grams of fiber, 1 gram of allulose. So it's 0 net carbs. Again, this is probably, I would call this low carb, but a lot of people would call this dirty keto. But that you're at Highfalutin low carb, so you know what we're doing. So let me wash my hands real quick. So the way she does this, I believe we're going to be able to get, that one's a little small. I believe we're going to be able to get 6 burgers out of this. She didn't really say. That's the thing about TikTok. It's great short form content, but you don't get all the information. And the bad thing about perhaps YouTube is that I can't shut up and make a shorter video than what I make. But you're here, so there you go. All right, and the way she does this, she takes one of these with impeccably clean hands, and she flattens this out to cover the entire tortilla. You want this pretty thin because, first of all, it's going to shrink, and you want to account for that. But this piece of meat needs to cook on one side, and hers were done in about 5 minutes. While it's cooking, what little bit of grease is going to be released is going to go into our tortilla, and then we're going to flip it and toast it. So I'm going to do something like that, maybe get it a little thinner around the edges. You don't want it to ball up in the middle. You know the way a burger gets thicker in the middle, so make sure you've got it really spread out. And I'm just going to do this with the other 3, and I'll speed this up. Okay, so we are almost ready to go. We're just going to add in a little bit of salt and pepper to our to season our ground beef. And again, I believe I can figure out she's going to make about 6 of these if you use the street taco size tortillas that we are using. And we're just going to brown these now in a skillet. And I did want to take a few minutes quickly to talk about the sponsor of this video. And they were the sponsor of the Tortilla Battle video. I don't know if you've seen that. I'll leave a link to it, where I talked about their non-stick skillet. This is a company called Made In. And they are a fantastic company that started about 8 years ago, I believe, by 2 guys who had been in their families had been in the kitchenware industry for about 100 years. And they wanted to create cookware that was made by family-owned, multi-generational, artisanal manufacturers and raw materials companies that were in certain places like the United States, UK, France, and Italy. The love and care that comes down, I know that sounds hokey probably, but there is a lack of that, it seems, in today's marketplace of companies and artisans and manufacturers and makers of things who have passed that skill and that care down from generation to generation. So they partner exclusively with those kinds of manufacturers. This is their stainless steel skillet, and it is a beautiful, heavy, beautifully made stainless steel skillet. All of their stainless steel is made in Italy. This is 5 layers of stainless steel that has been machined. Look at that, how nice it is. It is so evenly heating, heats evenly. This stuff is used in the best restaurants in the world. And when I say the best restaurants in the world, I'm talking about 3-star Michelin restaurants like Chicago's Alinea and New York City's La Bernardin. These are chefs that could have any product at their disposal, anything their little hearts desired, and they specifically have chosen Made In cookware for all of their kitchens, and it's in about 1,500 different top-tier hotels and restaurant groups in the United States and abroad. So I just want to thank them for sending some of these for me to try. I'm definitely in love with this. Their knives are delicious. Their knives are gorgeous. So anyway, if you want to check them out, use the link in my video description below, and there's a little discount there if you want to try it out. Thank you, Made In, for sponsoring this. So I'm going to heat this up now on an induction burner at about medium heat, and just let this come to temperature real quick before we throw these in. So I'll be right back, and we're going to cook these Big Mac tacos. See you in just a bit. Our pan is over medium heat. You don't want to go much over medium. In fact, I might turn that down just a little bit once these go in. I'm gonna hit this with a little bit of oil. I didn't see her do that, but want to make sure nothing crazy is gonna stick. And then these just go down. I'm gonna do 2 at a time in my skillet. If you have a larger skillet, you can do more. And then don't move them around. Don't move them around. Just let this cook about 5 minutes on each side. I'm gonna set a timer now. I'll speed this up so you can watch these cook. You can actually peek under between just lift a little bit of the tortilla up to make sure towards the end that it is browned on both sides, and then we'll just go from there. So I'll see you in just a bit. Okay, so as you can see, I flipped these over, and you kind of use the browning and the grease that's there to let your tortilla soak up all those browned juices. That's part of the magic of it, apparently. I'm going to put in on a piece of American cheese. Now, this is your decision. If you want it to taste like a Big Mac, Big Macs have American cheese on them. So the brand I'm using is 2 grams of carbs per slice. So considering everything that's going to go on here, because I altered the sauce, that's the only carbohydrates, net carbs, in the entire burger taco, Big Mac taco, is that cheese there. If you wanted to do cheddar, you could, but you're not going to get the quintessential, burger flavor, Big Mac flavor specifically. Now to this, I'm going to add in a little bit of raw onion, just some diced raw onion, not enough to really even count for carbs. And we're going to let these just toast for just a second on this side. I don't know if you saw this, but I actually did, because my beef swelled up a little bit, I did flip them over and then put the little tortilla hat back on it. I think if you got them thin enough, you wouldn't have to do that. So maybe instead of making 6, maybe a pound of ground beef makes 8. Again, it's going to depending on the size of the tortillas that you're using. You just don't want it to be too small for the tortilla, nor too large. So you just let these kind of do their thing, toast up as much as they can. And then once that cheese melts, we're ready to go. So you can see how easy and quick this was. I'm only doing 2 for now. I'll do the other 2 in a little bit so I can have one for my thumbnail photo. So we're going to let these finish up, and I'll plate these and I'll let you know what I think. Meet you right back. We've taken these up. Our burgers our Big Macs are cooling. We're going to add a little bit of the sauce to these, depending on, this is your choice, how much sauce you want to put in. I'll be honest with you, it's been a long time since I have had a Big Mac, not because I eat perfectly by any stretch of the imagination, far from it. It's just if I ever found myself at a McDonald's, I usually get the quarter pounder, not the Big Mac. So this will be interesting for me to taste the memories. Also, now we're going to add in a dill pickle slice, just some hamburger deals, and then of course it's got to be shredded lettuce, and I bought it pre-shredded just because it was cheap and affordable. So there you go, y'all. This is our Big Mac taco. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, I mean, I gotta say, it looks pretty good. It smells, I mean, there's no denying that smells like Thousand Island dressing, which I think that's probably just what Big Mac sauce is. So Big Mac or not, let's try. It is hot. Oh. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. Hide my big head. Y'all, that is so good. Oh my gosh. Okay. Gosh, A plus, 100. This tastes exactly like a Big Mac. From the super thin smashed patty, the sauce, the pickles are overwhelming. I don't want to say overwhelming in a bad way, just that's part of a memory of a Big Mac. The taco part of it, I think, lends itself better to a keto or low carb like this, because if I were making this for a group of people, if you had keto buns or low carb buns, there's always that, "Oh, these are great, but why is the bread weird?" You know what I mean? There's always that weird bread. People question it. The taco, the tortilla, this flour tortilla, you can't tell that it's low carb. I feel like I have that on my face. You can't tell that it's low carb. So it just looks interesting and weird and fun. Go try it. Big Mac taco. As weird as it is, it works. So there you have it, folks. I told you this would be a fast and an easy one, and it was. Thank you for joining me. I say this every time. These videos are a way for me to maintain my low carb way of eating, and looking in the end of that camera as often as I can helps keep me honest. So I appreciate you guys coming along for the journey. I'm going to ask you to do one thing for me, and that is to like this video. Hit the like button down below. It lets the algorithm know this is a video they can share with other people who appreciate the same things that you do. I'm going to ask you to subscribe and hit the bell button down below if you haven't already. That'll let you know as soon as I release a new video. Also, I'm over on Instagram and on Facebook, just under the same name, Highfalutin Low Carb. So find me there. I talk a little more frequently and a little more freely, share some things that I don't really get to share here on YouTube, then I can talk a little more often there. So join me over on those places if you haven't already. Thank you again to Made In for sponsoring this video. I can't wait to show you some of the other products that they have sent me to try, because they are fantastic things, and I appreciate the multi-generational family-owned aspect of that. So if you want to try this out, you can get a small discount for trying out the stainless collection or their non-stick collection or their knives by going to the link in the video description below. And lastly, I need to thank my rock stars, my Patreon members. You're going to see their names start to scroll over here. If you don't know what Patreon is, think of it as the tip jar for the internet. It lets people like you who enjoy what people like me do here on YouTube, and you can give $1 or $2 a month to help keep the train on the track. So I really appreciate that. So, all right, guys, with that, I will see you in the next video. I love you very much, and remember, today is a great day to have a great day. Bye-bye.